guided my life at every step. Thank you. But, he asked me to be a part of this anthology. He's like, oh yeah, just write about, one of your many times when you've like died and come back to life or whatever. And I was like, it overwhelmed me to hear that because that's my constant. I've called myself a queen of reinvention. I have a annual retreat called Rebirth and Renewal. Many people refer to me as a phoenix, and my chapter is called The Phoenix Rising because I have dealt with adversity after adversity since I can remember. So it started as a toddler. I was born into a fundamentalist Christian, what I would call a cult. And what I saw as a child deeply impacted me. And so as I grew up, having witnessed darkness and come face to face with darkness time and time again, it had a lasting impact. And it was something I couldn't shake no matter where I went or what I did. This level of darkness that I had faced would come back to haunt me. And so I am standing before you today as a master mystic. I don't know if any of you know master mystics, or has anyone met one or know what it is? Today. Ta-da! Yeah, I didn't either. But being a master mystic is having gone through being forged by fire, basically. Being pushed to the brink of the edge of reality until you find the key to step through that into the other side. And I spent 9 years in intense shamanic initiations, which at each step I thought I was gonna die, but I found I'm still alive and I'm here. So from surviving to thriving is a big deal. But I think many of us suffer in silence. Most of my pain has been so personal, so difficult to share because I don't want to disturb people. I'm here to bring light and to shine light in really dark places, apparently. And it's not something that I feel comfortable sharing with people because I don't want them to be disturbed or deal with the things that I've dealt with. So I've warriored through my life. And back to the Master Mystic, so you get that title of Master Mystic after being an adept of spiritual arts for over 25 years. So I was trained in mystery schools around the world by master mystics, shamans, oracles, tantrics, yogis. However, I didn't choose to go to those schools. It's not like a degree. It was a divination and it was a declaration and a way to survive my reality. I thought I was a business consultant and an entrepreneur. I thought, I'm going to make it in tech, but Spirit had another agenda for me. And so having to survive the darkness that I was faced with and quite literally slaying demons, I traveled around the world seeking teachers and mentors and someone who could help me deal with what I was grappling with. And that wasn't easy. And what I found was a lot of magicians, a lot of people very skilled in mind control, a lot of people, very powerful elites. I've worked with billionaires around the world. I've worked with some of the most genius people on the planet. I've seen up close and personal, like the puppeteers of reality, and it disturbed me deeply. And I've always had this mission since I was little that there's another way. And I feel that I'm here to awaken humanity back to its original, our love, that what we carry that is most precious, and that is connection and deeper values. So back to my chapter in the book, I decided to share a story that is based on a shared experience of trauma, not my personal trauma. And so it was a house fire that happened in the middle of the night. I had just returned after living in India for 8 years, working with some large-scale gurus and billionaires there, and that didn't go so well. And I came back to the US and had to start all over again. It had been exactly a year to the month that I had been back in a city after 10 years of living way out in villages and rural India and meditating most of the day, to then being in a city environment and feeling like, whoa, the energy here is so intense, but I'm gonna ground this light, So my business was working, things were happening, but I was barely getting by. First year in a new business, business is not easy. And it was that moment, and I was living in a community environment house with 6 people in a triplex, and I heard a large explosion in the middle of the night, and it was quite common to hear gunshots and fireworks, so the initial thought is just go back to sleep and ignore it. But I couldn't. I was so nervous the whole day. There was so many synchronicities that I share a little bit in the chapter, and I wrote a whole book about it called Synchronicity. But that night, that explosion, I was the only one awake. It was around 1:30 in the morning, and I went to my roommate, I woke her up, and I said, hey, did you hear that? And she's like kind of confused and groggly, and she's like, yeah, what was that? And it's like, it wasn't from your room or something? And I looked out her window and to see flames coming from downstairs out the window. The explosion was the glass blowing out. And I was like, oh, okay, we're on the 2nd floor and we gotta get out quick. So she went out the front door, but when she opened the door, the flames came up. And there's 2 people still sleeping. So I had to run around, get people out. They were super confused. We were all in just our pajamas or whatever we had on. I was looking for the extinguisher, and well, I ran into my room and I'm like, okay, last minute, I'm the only one awake here, so I have to act fast. I grabbed a jacket and my snow boots. I threw my phone on the bed because I was looking to carry the extinguisher as if I can fight that fire. When I got back to the stairs, the flames were already coming up the stairs, so I had to take the fire escape out the back. Thought the people downstairs were burning because it was black, so there was a moment of like, oh my God, like we've lost our friends. So it was like pure panic, and then the neighbors are like, they're safe, they're out front, and whatever. In moments it went through the roof, and there I was after a year of trying to recover from the last major trauma, and I just had what I was wearing, and that's it. Like my business was also in that community center. I ran events there and workshops. I had no insurance. I had let it lapse just months prior, and yet I'm watching the burn, and all I'm feeling is freedom, ecstatic. I felt ecstatic, and I was like, this is weird. I'm like, wow, look at that fire go, like, burn, baby, burn, and I'm like, I'm free, and I'm like, oh shit, this is it. Like, I wasn't even wearing underwear. I had like on pajama pants, and I had a crazy outfit on, let me tell you. It was crazy, and I was like, I have to walk around like this. My wallet's in there, my passport's in there, my backups. There's some irony, you can read about it in the chapter about what I was wearing and how that was hysterical, but I just started feeling like carried by the wings of God. Like, I'm being saved. And I won't tell you all the things that were going on in my life. It was a mysterious fire. Some people thought it was arson. I had death threats at the time for a meditation event I had led in the city that got a lot of exposure with the UN, and people were pretty pissed off that I was doing what I was doing. And I was thinking like, whoa, but I'm going to the woods, Like, I just got to get out of here. And it's always in these moments where I don't know what's going to happen that grace has come, and angels in the form of humans like this man here have shown up in my life right when I'm about to lose it. Like right when I think, okay, this is really the end. But it's never the end, and I bounce back, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm still here. There's a lot that I have learned through fire and through being in these places. And like Neil said, we have to go within, and that's an inner job. Like, we cannot be liberated from our fears from the outside. It's a level of consciousness. We have to switch something inside. And we talk about living the dream and thriving. Well, this is a dream. Like, actually, we are the creators of our reality. And I have spent so much time in deep contemplation and realizing that we are creating everything that we're experiencing. And when we get those keys, it's not so easy to get those keys and live in that alignment and move through it, because it happens, at so many different levels of reality until it can land in your body. The lessons I learned from all of this is, yes, that this is an inner job. Freedom and liberation is an inside job. And I've distilled all of my mystical trainings and initiations into a very simple practice that I've been teaching and been sharing with people. I have like a free downloadable thing you can grab on my website at thesynchronicitybook.com. I realized that the only thing that matters at the end of the day is our connections. It's love. It has nothing to do with money and status. And when I asked spirit, like, what should I talk about today? I heard the word privilege, so it was interesting you said that. And I thought, privilege. And it's like, yes, you're privileged to be spirit in form. And we don't talk about that kind of privilege, the privilege of feeling joy, because a lot of people don't, or the privilege of being safe to walk down the street, right? Or the privilege of having loving parents, or the privilege of going to sleep at night and being able to actually sleep or feel safe that no one's gonna come in and harm you. These are privileges. And I thought, oh, wow. Like it's every moment, it's this tiny acts of generosity that we all have a privilege. All of us have that privilege, one privilege, and we need to find what our privilege is. So mine is, escaping danger, or surviving the odds, or moving through difficulties, like a ninja, like sliding through. So I'm here to share and shine that privilege of finding light, of returning to my innocence, of expressing my vulnerability and living as light in a human form. So thank you for having me.